fist. You know a fist? Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
It's me, Tyler. This is Gabriel.
Gabriel.
This is our first official meeting. So if you want to
Yes.
introduce yourself to the audience, to
my
us.
My name is Antony Ware, and I love people.
Yes, that's why we're all here, right?
Yeah.
Because, we want to bring more people to the table, explain more experiences that we're having in the queer community so we can be a light unto others, or maybe a reason to create more conversations about people's experiences. And that's really what we hope to do. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Seriously, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I've been a fan for a long time.
That is very kind.
And following the channel and how it's evolved and the different topics and such.
Thank you.
I admired you guys for a really long time. I really
That's
have. So
very kind.
this is really an honor.
Yeah,
Thank
it's a passion to talk.
Yeah. And meet new people, of course.
Yeah.
Well, y'all are good at talking, so you know.
Yeah, and hey, it's brought us to meet a lot of really great
Yeah.
people, not only in person, but virtually, and the people that have followed along with us. So
For sure.
really glad to have you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from?
So even that's like, it's not complicated, but I was born in Chicago.
Okay.
So Midwestern for there, and then my family moved to Atlanta when I was about 12.
Okay.
And so then I kind of grew up in Atlanta, and then that's where kind of the love for performing and such kind of really was birthed in
Sure.
Atlanta. I'm a performer.
Yeah.
I'm a dancer, sing, act, and that sounds like so like I do.
No.
But I'm a performer.
Yeah.
So
Entertainer.
but it was really birthed in Atlanta. I went to performing arts high school and just kind of really found a love for dance and movement and just learning it as really like another way to express yourself,
Yes.
so your emotions, convey emotion, but also receive emotion.
Wow.
And for me, it was really important, not to take a hard segue into dance, but it's just important. Atlanta's just important for that purpose because for me growing up, I was always very shy, high voice,
Sure.
didn't sound like the boys and
Same,
such. So
yep.
then I would cower.
Yes.
And, try to play myself down, not really speak too much. And so when I learned dance, it was like, oh, I can communicate it in a different way, actually a more effective way, because body language is more effective than words. And so that's really why I fell in love with it. Janet Jackson's what inspired me to dance.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love Janet Jackson.
Janet Jackson.
Incredible.
I can't even listen.
Begin.
We can have a whole podcast just
sure.
talking about
Janet
Janet
Jackson.
Jackson.
We absolutely could.
But even that was unique because other performers growing up and such, especially for me as a guy, they're talking about Michael and
Right.
and these other people, and I'm like, well, I used to think it was bad to be inspired by a woman performer, which is what inspired me until I learned that was okay.
Yeah.
But Atlanta really birthed all of that, and then kind of took everything I can from Atlanta. Got engaged while I was there.
How long were you there?
From 12 until I moved to New York at 21.
So you got engaged young.
Pretty young.
That happens. I feel like a lot of us in the queer community, when we find like a really strong connection, we have this desire to hold on to that.
Absolutely,
because like you mentioned, in our lives, we often make ourselves small.
For sure.
We try to reduce who we are. So when we meet that maybe initial person who's finally giving us the love that we are looking for, we feel the need to like, let's lock this down quick. Let's hold on to this. Do you relate to that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, even it was such a whirlwind situation, and I'm a very passionate person, and my love languages are touch and words of affirmation. And so we were just so linked in these areas and very touchy, very feely, very like both passionate. So it's like an explosion. And it was just very whirlwind. The emotions were going so quickly. And it did get to the point to where, because Alex proposed like 3 months into the relationship, 4 months into the relationship.
Sure.
Wow.
And it really was kind of that feeling like, well, if I don't say yes to this, then what if lose it or
the
whatever?
Opportunity of having somebody.
100%.
Yeah.
But the very next day I woke up and regretted it and never communicated that. And that kind of is what started the fracture of the entire relationship really falling apart. It went on for almost 4 years.
Wow.
We went from Atlanta to New York together. And I will say, regardless of the fact that it didn't work out, I still feel that like every relationship means something and potentially it's taking you to a different level that maybe you wouldn't have gone by yourself.
Sure.
Because for me being in Atlanta, I'm such a mama's boy, let me tell you. Like, I'm glued to my mother. My nieces, like, I needed something to remove me from, because I knew I wanted to go to New York. I knew that I had done pretty much everything I can do in Atlanta and needed to move on. But if Alex was not pushing that, because unfortunately he didn't have a connection to his family like I did, so he wasn't as tied to it.
Sure.
And while at the time in the relationship, I was looking at that as something negative, in reality, if that wasn't there, then it wouldn't have moved us to the next,
For sure.
So, yeah, went to New York and then fell in love with New York, was there for ever until 2023. I booked like a male review show in Nashville, so I moved to Nashville for a year.
Wow.
It's called Ranch Hand. It's basically like a country version of Magic Mike, basically.
Amazing.
So yeah, I did that.
Was that your first experience doing some sort of like official?
Not first experience, but it was my first experience doing it like in a regular show, like on a regular basis.
So
I've done like spot gigs and
This was a schedule for the year.
Exactly.
You were learning like I need to be here this time.
Exactly.
It was almost like I guess you could say a 40-hour week gig.
Oh, for sure. Right. Yeah. So, so you know, that was a new experience being in nightlife of Nashville, which is very different. You know, it is the most opposite gay, situation
for sure
that you're in. I mean, the people that I'm performing for, you know, we're talking about bachelorettes, like 98% of the audience,
women.
And Nashville itself has some inclusivity. Like we would have gay guys come to our shows. We have a lot of gay friends. I was go-go dancing at a gay club as well while I was living in Nashville, like just completely immersed into the nightlife. And I never really fully lived in the nightlife scene like as literally the means to live.
Sure.
So that was just a whole different environment. And then doing it in a space where we're a little bit inclusive, but in reality it's about you being straight. So then it's having to turn on that other side of me that is really just full masculinity.
Wow.
Let me give you this fantasy.
Right.
Let me be this
character.
object for you. It's a character.
Yeah.
And now people took the character too far, you know, unfortunately.
Of course.
But yeah, it was a character, but it was interesting and I loved being able to give joy, but it also started to kind of take a toll on me as well, that it was literally like I'm just an object to these people. And even being black and queer as well and being there because they would fetishize about being a muscular black man is
in the South.
In the South. And they would even say things and not being cognizant of what you're saying, like saying things like, I just want to take you home and tie you up and like things like this.
Yeah. Did you ever get, I mean, this is extremely offensive and a lot of Southern people say it. It's like, oh, my dad would never approve of you.
Oh, absolutely.
Can you imagine?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like, people say it all the time.
I can't, like it's crazy. And even like gay guys that are in Nashville, like so many of them are closeted, you know, so you're dealing with a lot of, you know, straight presenting, you know, type.
Still playing a character.
Yes. But then contacting me like either DMs on Instagram or dating app, you know, popping up on Grindr and things like that and asking me, am I into like slave master play? Like,
that is crazy.
And just being comfortable, which means if they're comfortable asking, there have to be guys that are allowing it there.
For sure.
Which is very sad, you know?
I mean, I can imagine this fetish somewhere, but I mean, this shocks me. I didn't realize this was like a...
To this day.
Neither did I.
Sure. You're like...
Neither did I.
Like, wow, okay, I haven't heard that
I'm looking at this like, are you really asking me that? Like, wow.
Even as a joke, I mean, that's not a joke.
Yeah. And
it's ridiculous.
It's interesting too that you kind of dove into the nightlife in Nashville rather than New York City, where you would assume someone moves and like it kind of engulfs you. What was your life like in New York City?
I think New York was different just because I was doing a lot more. I don't want to say legitimate because it's not about legitimacy, but just more, it wasn't nightlife.
Official, yeah.
You know, like just like video shoots and live performances. I was dancing with like other dance crews. I was performing for artists. Like it was just different.
Yeah.
And the first part of that in New York, I was trying to balance entertainment and like regular day-to-day. Like I was working in student affairs.
Wow.
Like when I was in college, I was an RA.
Yeah.
And then I was a hall director.
Oh my God.
And then I was an assistant director of housing. Then I was working for student activities. Listen, there's a whole nother side of the life. Like I was an administrator. And so I'm doing these meetings with parents and the president and all this stuff a day and they're going to shake my ass. And you know, so it's like, you know, there was a duality going on.
Sure.
And I did like go a little bit in New York and such, but it was mainly a focus on trying to establish myself like as an actual artist and performer there.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't really a part of it. But then I started getting honestly, the more my body developed, the more I started getting those types of gigs. Because when I first went to New York, fitness wasn't a focus for me at all.
Sure.
Really, fitness really only came as a focus when me and Alex broke up and I wanted to be bigger than the guy he cheated with. And so that's really what fueled it.
That'll do that.
And then I found a love for fitness.
Right.
But before that, I was years in New York without any of that. So I wasn't getting these body opportunities. And then as they started to come and you see how easy the money is, then you start to get more invested in that.
Sure.
You know, so that was kind of like what was happening in New York.
We get so caught up sometimes in the day-to-day that we forget to look at our layers. And I hope that some of these conversations just allow people to kind of sit and think of their own experience. You don't have to be in a podcast studio with a mic in front of you to like dive into some of the things you've gone through and determine, hey, do I need to put a little bit more work there? Where did this come from? So hopefully that's the point of this podcast, is people get to kind of say, hey, what is my story? What do I need to unpack there?
Yeah.
But I bring up Atlanta because I used to live there as well.
Oh, really?
I lived there.
I knew I hear it a little bit.
Jacksonville is quite country in itself. My family, you would assume, was from Southern Georgia, and they are, but they've been, born and raised in Jacksonville, so they have a big Southern twang. So mine kind of comes in and out depending on who I'm around.
Because only certain words.
Yes.
And I'm a little bit of the same way with it. It's like the accent comes on certain words, certain phrases.
And I have some patients in Mississippi, specifically I say Mississippi, that when I talk to them, for some reason I just like come into another octave and like a different a different dialect. You've heard it. I'm like, it's I don't know, something switches. But I'm sure you do too when you go back to Atlanta.
It just comes naturally at that point.
Living there, I lived there, I think I was 23 through 25 was my last 2 years of medical school. I worked at Atlanta Medical Center. I did clinical rotations there. Do you know that area well?
Of course, yeah.
And what area did you live in?
So when we first moved there, we lived in Decatur.
Yeah.
And then we lived kind of all over because we were in Decatur. We lived in Jonesboro.
Sure.
When I moved out and got my own place, me and Alex, we lived in Marietta, and then we just lived in Midtown for the last couple of years until I moved to New York.
Did you go out much in Midtown?
You go to the
yeah. When did you go out first time, like to a gay experience, whatever that looks like to you?
The first time was in college. I went to Georgia Southwestern State University, which is deep in the South, like near Albany, Georgia.
Is it a religious college?
No.
Okay, I'm thinking something else. Maybe. No, I know. Well,
no.
You never know.
I did grow up really Baptist, so that's a whole other thing.
Sure.
But yeah, I did. But it's really, the town is called Americus, Georgia.
Gotcha.
So it's really like near Albany. Yeah, Americus.
Wow, it doesn't get more Americus than that.
It does not get more Americus than that.
That is
so
funny.
it was like 3,000 students, like, pretty small school. But we were close to Albany, so we would like party at Albany. But when I was there and really just accepting being gay, which was really after my first gay male experience was there, and that's what opened me up to saying, okay, I'm comfortable, I want to go to a bar and like club and whatever. And the first place was Queens.
Okay.
And
of course.
Right? It's called Queens. It was in Albany, and I went with a group of my straight friends that I made at the school.
Wow.
Incredible.
Mainly female straight friends, but there were like 2 straight guys and the rest were like females, and like we went as a group, and they actually went to support me going, which I did not ask for, didn't expect that, any of that.
Incredible.
But I also had my first drink at this club experience, and the first drink was a Long Island iced tea.
Wow.
Of course.
Which is not the first
Was
drink.
it blue?
Purple, I think, kind of,
Yeah, I remember those.
It should not be a first drink experience. So it was a fun night, but a lot of it, I ended up like dancing on top of tables and like just doing the most. But that was my first experience, and it was fun and just nice because I got to experience it with friends. Like it wasn't like an odd, let me go in the corner and observe, and you know what I mean, like that whole story.
Fun.
Sure.
I got to be integrated into it. And then when I went back to Atlanta, the beautiful thing like with that, and I shared that with my mom and my sister, like I'm one of those people that have a story that my mom and my sister went to the gay club with me as well. Like when I went back, and that completely like just was overwhelming.
Yeah.
Seeing my mommy in there, and my mommy's like,
incredible.
Did you see him? You don't want to dance with him? I'm like, mommy.
Just like,
oh my God,
that
incredible.
shifts your brain in
just,
a way.
And this is, like I said, I grew up Baptist. Like my mom is who's taking me to church and choir practice and all this stuff all the time. And so to see her to be able to like separate this ideology that religion kind of forces in your mind, to step away from that, like for your child, to love your child, to support your child by doing that. I just thought, like, to be honest, like that mainly happened in white families because you don't really see it a lot in our community because it's so shunned in the Black community. So
how did you come out to her?
After I had my first boyfriend, which was the person I had the first gay experience with, that's what made me like, okay, like I really love this guy. I don't want to hide him. And so I told her. But it was literally like, okay, like, what do you want for dinner? Like, it was like...
Moving on. Not concerned. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that just reassures you, especially when you're younger, like, oh, this isn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Oh, I can bring these things up.
Yeah.
Because a parent could also take a minute, sit down and make it a big deal. And then you think in your head, okay, next time I say something like this, it's probably going to also be a big deal. That makes you second guess the relationship.
Right.
But to be like, what's for dinner? Is like, you
just
can't
normalized
shock me.
it.
I'm here for you. Whatever you're going to go through, I'm going to be right here.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I didn't have a very similar experience. I mean, my parents have always been like, they're there like in an emergency, but we never like a emotional connection, never like able to like
just didn't
discuss our
grow up
feelings.
emotional, period.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I think, you know, looking back, we didn't really connect on that level. I knew I was gay when I was like 5.
Me too.
And I knew it was wrong when I was like 5.
Yeah, me too.
And it didn't really, I actually, like between 5 and 10, I didn't care. I was like this queen who was performing for my mom, like to any pop music that was on the radio. But when I started to hit puberty, I was like, oh, okay. I think also too, like my parents' perspective of me and how they looked at me didn't matter to me as much as like my peers. And when that started to be obvious, I started to change my behavior. But I think at 5, I already knew that I was going to be in some way a disappointment to my family. And so I had already kind of like not made it that big of a deal. Even to this day, I still feel like a disappointment in that way. But, you know, we all go through things in our own way, and I don't fault my parents. They do the best they can. They've done a lot for me to get where I'm at. But hearing a story like yours, I just, you know, of course, makes me be like, ah, I wish.
But you know what? It's only with my mother, though. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, you know, sons and fathers don't necessarily have the same outcome when it comes to this. And my father was not receptive of it. It was the thing about it though is like it's funny, like you said, like you were looking like is like your peers is who you cared about more.
Right.
For me, it was like, what did my mom think?
Sure.
You know, more than anyone.
Yeah.
And so when she accepted it, it was kind of like, okay, well, honestly, I don't really give a fuck what anyone else says.
And
I'm just gonna, you know.
Yeah.
Once I got her, and then once I told my dad, and my parents have been divorced since I was 3, so I didn't grow up with my dad in the house.
I see.
It's always been very in and out of my life. He's been married 5 times. Like my dad is, again, a whole nother topic. But so they had been divorced. I wasn't really looking for his approval. We didn't really have like that type of connection like I would want to have with my father.
Yeah.
So when I told him, he just kind of blew up on the phone because it was over the phone. And I told him later than my mom. It was like on my birthday, so it was like maybe like a couple months later.
Sure.
I think it was my 19th birthday. Yeah, it was my 19th birthday because we didn't talk again until my 20th birthday the very next year.
That's crazy.
Because of that. And I'm just like if it was like 5 years earlier, then it really would have hurt me.
Right,
but at that point, it was like
no
I
difference.
expected. And I just had to really learn to love and accept my father for just who he is.
Sure.
And I think we do often put our parents on a pedestal, and to some degree we should, because they did bring us into this world. We didn't ask to, but they're also imperfect. They're also only doing what they are doing based off their own experiences.
Right. Yeah.
And I just had to really learn. That's the only way that I can learn to forgive and love my father, is understanding that, because the same way I didn't choose to be here, he didn't choose to be the person that he is.
Right.
Now, he could do more work to work on that person, but that's up to you to decide to do that. But it's not up to me to force that either.
Yeah.
So I can only accept the version that he's given me, and so that's what I accept now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I never told my dad that I was gay, but I kind of knew that I suspected that he always knew, because I was always very flamboyant, very feminine kid, of dance in the living room. But my mom, she had a very similar reaction as your mom. She needed a month period so she could digest the situation, but
take a break.
She's my best friend now. I took her to gay clubs many times. I take her to drag shows.
Nice.
She loves the gay community.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't ask for a better mother, because she's very supportive.
You guys have met each other's parents?
Yeah, so we have met each other's parents. You met my mom.
I met pretty much your whole family. You haven't met my family in Brazil, but you met my mom, my sisters. I have a younger sister who lives in Brazil, but she comes here for vacation sometimes.
Okay.
My older sister lives in Florida, and my mom as well, and we have a great relationship. Your family, I probably know everybody.
Yeah, so the first time that he met my family, it was Thanksgiving. We had been dating
for like a couple of months.
Not even. And I was like, well, this is a great way to just show everybody like who I am. I had also just purchased a house like the year before, and so we were like gonna have Thanksgiving at my house. And so my cousins came and their kids came, and we had decorated for Christmas, so because it was kind of like, you know, the holiday vibes.
Yeah.
And it was a shit show. Nothing like outrageous happened. It was just more like
No.
overwhelming.
I
But
also brought my mom that day, and she's from Brazil. She doesn't speak English.
my family doesn't even know where Brazil is on a map. They don't
They
know.
think she speaks. They think she speaks
Oh,
Spanish.
so you speak Spanish? I think 14 people asked them that question that day.
Oh, wow.
So it was great, open-minding exercise for them.
Yeah.
My mom has been consistently around until this recent election, where we just decided that it would be best for us to take some time away. We've had a rough relationship, but outside of that, and their election is not the reason why we decided. It was like the final straw, so to speak. But there were a lot of other factors that led to that way beyond. It was just the final straw was just really not. I keep saying the election because it's like an easy way to just make it a one sentence kind of explanation. But the main thing is she just doesn't listen to me. She doesn't understand where I'm coming from. She doesn't try to understand where I'm coming from. When we're having a conversation, I tried to understand her point of view, and she can't usually substantiate her own point of view, nonetheless try to understand mine.
Right.
And so we just got to a place where I was like, what is this relationship? Like, what is happening? You're not getting anything positive out of me. I'm not getting anything positive out of you. And I hope that we can reassess that in the future. But she's always been extremely supportive of him. My family in general have always loved him and been amazing, but I never really acknowledged that as a positive because I expect it as a bare minimum. Like if he was a female, they would have done the same thing. So I guess maybe looking back, I should applaud them and say that everything is so amazing that you give someone respect and dignity. But to me, I think that's the basis of what I expect.
Well, out of every one of his family, I got the closest with his grandma, which is was the most conservative.
This lady. This lady said things that it would make all of our heads spin. But she loved him, and she was always very supportive. Yeah, he did. So he's met my majority of my family. I've met the sort of nuclear family of yours. Which is great, that's all we can ask for. But right now, I'm just taking a family break.
No, I get it.
But we're super close to his mom. We spend a lot of time with her. I can't communicate with her very well because I don't know Portuguese.
There's other kinds of languages, right? Like you said, dance is a language. So there are other languages, not just
We send each other emojis and GIFs, and we have a group chat, and I'm in the family group chat. And so she's incredible. She's like another mom to me for sure.
That's amazing.
So I'm very lucky there.
That's really amazing.
Yeah. And how about you when you were going through multiple, when you were going through your first relationship, was the family involved with your engagement? Like, how does that go when you're 21 years old?
My mom just thought it was insane.
Fairly so.
And
21,
she's a mother, and it was just, again, only dating for like a few months. And it was just, but everything was over the top in the entire relationship. It was just, everything was to the 10th degree. It was just always a lot. She was supportive of me because she just wanted me to be happy, but she told me very well that it's probably not going to work out. And when you're also just kind of being love blind, you kind of reject everything you're being told.
For sure. Right.
And saying people are just jealous of you and they just don't know love. Like how am I going to tell my mom she doesn't know love like I know it?
Right.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
I think we all like dig in that box of like phrases to support our relationship when other people around us are like, I'm not sure. And what's really interesting too is a lot of times when we're in a relationship, the people around us only hear the negatives too.
For sure.
Because, you can talk to your partner about all the positives, but when you're arguing with them, you need someone to express those feelings to. So you'll turn to your family, your friends, and then unfortunately their bias starts to tilt towards the negative. And so then they're like, this isn't going to work. And you're like, no, I know it is. And they're usually right.
Absolutely. And you're not taking it in at that moment, but it's always a hindsight thing.
For sure.
But so that was happening, but she was being supportive. His family, again, he wasn't as close to his family, and he went through a lot of traumatic things like with his parents because he was mixed race. His mom was white, his dad was black, but he grew up like his dad was abusive to his mom. Like he grew up in an entirely different way than I grew up.
Sure.
And so the things that he's seen, I've never had to endure. So I understand why there's a separation from him and his family, but at the time I was not fully seeing that, and I was still trying to push them together because I only know loving family, and I have a huge family as well, you know what I mean? And like they're all like mainly still in Chicago. Yeah. And even though I don't like even see them as often, especially now with the show in Vegas and everything, but whenever we're together, it's still like a big loving family. Yeah. And I just wanted him to feel that. You know what I mean? It was so important to me for him to just experience that. Because he was falling in love with my mother, my nieces, my sister. I just wanted him to have that with his own family too. But I didn't realize until, again, hindsight, until later, that you can't force something together
Right.
that may not be meant to be together.
Right.
And I wish that I had known that sooner, because I think that in trying to help, I was probably causing more pain.
I think that it's probably good for both of you that you had that experience in some ways, because now look what you can say and you can understand. Because I'm kind of going through that too. I have a lot of friends who, and especially previously when I would express my relationship with my family, would say family comes first. And I was taught that too. I went to a Christian middle and high school. I grew up in church. So family blood, there's nothing thicker. You can't turn your back on your family, etc., etc. And I just never had that connection with my family though. So I remember there was a guy that I dated before I met Gabriel, probably like a year before, and we barely really knew each other, but he ended up introducing me to his family, and we didn't date for very long, but I grew very attached to the idea of his family. They were so supportive of him. They were very kind to me. They would like invite us over for dinner. And I was like, well, even though I'm not really enjoying this relationship with the guy, I'm really enjoying the family. I'm like, how do I navigate that? And then when we ended the relationship, then it became, I was looking, and this is before we met, but I was like, maybe that should be my goal, is to find someone who's very close to their family, because this is void that I'm missing. Obviously, that's another rabbit hole you don't want to go down. You don't want to date someone for their family connections.
Right. You're already like trying to benefit, like, you know what I mean? Not even knowing the person's like,
exactly. Just trying to connect with one person's hard enough than their whole family.
1000%. But you know what I do see though is like what in the experience with Alex, and also just like more experiences and just hindsight and all of that, it's, you know, all the families don't have to look the same, and support doesn't always look the same.
Different.
Like I was just even watching like Drag Race the other day.
Oh, we are on a good topic now.
Okay, and you know the family makeover situation.
Oh my God.
And looking at Susie's family, that did y'all see this episode?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so Susie's dynamic with her mom.
Completely different from the other girls.
Completely different.
Yeah.
And at first, even I was side-eyeing like, why is she even there? But then I'm like, but she showed up though.
Yes.
You know, like she was there.
If you were to go back to season 3, 2, 1, this would be amazing. A mom showed up to support their child. Now, you look at Susie's family and you're like, oh man, his mom probably thinks amongst her friends. I mean, I don't know what his mom thinks, but in comparison to other people in their community, she may be the most liberal and the most progressive.
100%.
And then you get around other parents who are more progressive than you.
And it's like, so then it makes her look like she's not doing enough.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, but it's not all the same. Like just the fact that she showed up is what we should be paying attention to.
Exactly.
There was a time on Drag Race you couldn't even get everyone's family to come. People would have close friends and such. You know what I mean? So the fact that all the biological parents were there, I thought that was impactful.
Incredible.
And her relationship shouldn't be judged just because it looks differently. It's like, and sometimes the parents that are the loudest and rah 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 are monsters behind the scenes.
She was probably nervous. Like, there's too many cameras, too many lights.
I could totally see some parents too, in the hype of their child getting on a TV show and the excitement around it. Your ideas can change, and they could change like by the minute, 100%, right? You could be in the moment, you're in the room, you're having this breakthrough, and then when you get home, things start to go back to normal because they're back in their normal environment. They're back exposed
settling
to the TV
back
show.
And the cameras are gone. I don't have to play up for the cameras anymore. You know, like I would hope that it's all authentic. But you know, we want to believe everything is real in reality.
And it could also still be authentic, right? You get in a new situation and you can become a new person. I think a lot of my family members are like that. They respond and they become who they're around. So I've seen my mom specifically evolve in a certain direction based on who she's around.
When she's around my mom, for example, she becomes very accepting, very open, even like sometimes liberal. She will say things that she wouldn't say normally, but when she's around my mom, she kind of like adapts to what my mom's emotions are.
See, and then like when it comes to something like that, and then I don't want to keep going back to Drag Race, but
it's a great
we can talk all day about Drag Race.
The episode just had so many different layers when it came to families and such. And so with something like that, it's like if a person is changing up because of the environment, I'm paralleling it to like to Lexi and like her mom calling her the correct pronouns and whatever. And there was this whole thing is like, is that authentic or is it just happening because the cameras are on?
It could be.
So if people are switching because the circumstances are making it more comfortable or pushing it, or they're playing up to whatever, is it then not authentic at all? Or is there like a part of them that they do feel that way, but maybe this situation made them... Does that make sense? Like what I'm asking?
You're speaking exactly what I saw, because I hope for anyone who is trans and having to go through such a struggle like Lexi has had, and to see her so strong now, but to have to go through that connection or reconnection on TV and to have that permanently there. I hope that it is always a reflection of what was and what should be. Because again, I could totally see like one of my cousins, and bless their heart, they don't mean anything by it. It's just when you're in a pool of people and their opinions are so strong and you don't have strong opinions yourself, it's almost like there's nothing else you can do, and so I've just seen that so many times. My family is full of the most loving, sweet, sincere, kind people when they know who you are and they can pinpoint you on a map and can read you. But when you're outside of their scope of what they understand, they're not going to say it to your face, but they are going to feel insecure. And that's their own insecurities being brought out. I mean, it's mine too. I think it's any person. When you meet someone you don't know or you're unfamiliar with or that makes you nervous, it's just your own insecurities being reflected outwards onto another person. And so it's a struggle. We're all just trying to find ourselves.
The
problem is most people aren't. Most people aren't thinking that there's more work to be done on themselves.
No, they're complacent at the level that they are. I just refuse that.
I think fitness helps with
that.
For sure. Because when you are constantly creating goals in the gym, you're like, well, what else should I be working on? At least that's how I'm not a very spiritual person, but the inner work that I do is been propelled by fitness, because I know I can hit this milestone and I can do this and create goals. And I think
you feel good when you reach those goals.
You see the results.
Absolutely. Like fitness, again, even though like the circumstances that brought it into my life were, different motives.
Sure.
But to discover like just it's therapy. Like,
it is.
Like I can close myself off.
Yeah.
I can like just lock in and just be there. I love also like lifting when I'm high. Something about it, but like it's because there's studies on this.
Yes.
It's like mind body connection. Through marijuana.
Have
you know what I mean? Like it really does connect a lot. So yeah, like I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I totally can relate with that. I'm actually finishing a book now called The History of Cannabis. I'm on like page 300 and something. But we started this new habit this year. Well, he's actually had the habit.
I had this habit before.
For many years.
I've been reading on the bike.
We use a stationary bike
at the gym. So we do it cardio every day for 30 minutes. Not too hard. So we try to
every day, no matter what, 30 minutes?
Every day we go to the gym. Like
every day we're at the gym and we have enough, but I would say 85% of the time we try to make it happen. It's not always easy, which is why I've never until recently read on the bike. For me, the bike is doomsday terror. Just get through it. So I have to use whatever can bribe my mental capacity to get through. So it initially started with like 10 music videos that I would watch on repeat because they were hype enough to like get me through it. Then I started to listen to other music, and then I could just do audio. And I started to realize that he was reading way more books than me, and I don't read at all for fun, at least. And so I thought this could be a good 30 minutes block that instead I can try to find a way to be more productive. So we started reading on the bike, and so my book that I've just finished or about to finish is called The History of Cannabis, but it talks a lot about how cannabis has evolved throughout the years, how humans have interacted with it. It's very uplifting and positive view on cannabis and the use of it. It talks a lot about the government and the interventions that the government has tried to have, both successful and unsuccessful. It's a really interesting book, so highly recommend it. But it's talked a lot about that as well, and the benefits of relaxation, meditation, and how THC can have that meditative component, which I think a lot of us go to the gym for. As you mentioned, my first goal with going to the gym at 14 years old was to, like, I don't know, have some meat on my bones because I was a walking
You were going at
14? 14.
Oh, wow.
But I was, if you could imagine, the most emaciated looking white boy. That was me. I literally had a nickname in 6th grade, Chicken Legs, because my legs were just little sticks, which is fine. Looking back, it could have been way worse.
Did you have this hair though?
In phases.
Okay,
in phases.
So there
it was a lollipop.
there. Good hair.
Yes, that's right. I've had some decent hair. I'll take it. But yeah, so those negatives though propelled me to want to improve my body image. And then, that leads to finding that the gym can be much more beneficial than just physically improving your muscle development. It's definitely a place of meditation for me, silence, time to reflect. Do you feel like it's kind of similar for you?
It's literally all of that. Like either I'm like there's music playing or something that's stimulating, but like I'm so locked into the music, sometimes it's just like playing and playing, and I'm not even hearing it, but it's something about the vibration and the energy that's flowing through, and then it's just unlocking something.
Yeah.
And then I'll catch what's playing, then I'll bust into like a couple 8 counts, you know?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, if a Britney song comes on or something, or a Janet routine. Because first of all, any 90s group, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys,
Check.
Britney, Janet, any
Jackson.
of their dance breaks, I know. You know, so if the
you got to teach us.
Oh, I got you. So when the right thing hits, maybe I could be in the middle of like when I finish that bench set, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna hit my hit the counts, and then do a little swerve back down into the right back and down to it.
Amazing.
So yeah, it really does all of that for me, and like I honestly don't know like where my mental state would be if I didn't have that as an outlet.
Yeah.
Because the performing stuff, just the life of entertainer period, like where everything is kind of temporary of a feeling.
Sure.
We're also in a business where you're made to feel replaceable, like to an extent. A lot of what you're doing is based off of your body, off of your aesthetic, off of what you're physically able to do. To me, it adds a different level of pressure onto me having to keep myself a certain way.
Sure.
And I feel that if I didn't have outlets like the gym, which is also beneficial to what I have to keep myself as anyways, I have to keep my mental kind of separated from the fact that like I'm doing this because also I have to be doing it, and just keep it in that therapeutic, separated, this makes me happy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because to combine them means it all becomes work, and then it's no longer serving that like mental need anymore.
We talk about that a lot with things becoming work, because there's a lot of things that we enjoy, like talking to people, creating a podcast, connecting with others. I love medicine and health and fitness, but like you mentioned, it becomes work in some ways if you're not careful to kind of create some boundaries there. And it's easy how it can kind of swish from one side to the other and make a huge impact on your mental health if you're not making sure that it's not all work all the time.
Absolutely.
I think, my biggest regret in life is that I did not take dance class.
Yes.
Aww.
But
too. Same.
we are taking dance classes here in LA.
Oh, really?
We just
Like
started.
Beginners.
It's beginner
Like
hip hop.
hip hop?
Yep. It's the Playhouse.
Playhouse.
The Playhouse
Playground.
LA.
Playhouse?
Playhouse,
They have.
I mean, that's beginning at Playhouse is not regular beginning.
Well,
though.
I mean,
we struggle a little bit.
but it's so. I honestly have never had so much fun in my life. The
so
people there probably
awesome.
think I'm on crack because I am just like
Buzzing.
jumping around, jumping around, just so happy to be there.
so
Because it's fun. You see people dancing, they have no background in dancing, but they learn a choreography very easily. And
There's no judgment.
I love
Judgment's
dropping into class, like still, like it also just remotivates you to see other people's energy.
Other people.
People that are trying, to like really hard to learn something, and there's no real goal at the end of it. They're not trying to get a job. They're purely just doing it because they're enjoying and wanting to.
Yeah.
That's a different type of energy. Like I love being around that.
And it's funny because I never knew that I could just drop into a class like that and feel confident and comfortable enough. I've talked to a few people who I'm like making new friends in LA, and I'm like, what? First of all, that's a whole nother topic. Like, what do you do when you want to make new friends in LA?
In LA,
do you go to the movies? Do you go to dinner? I mean, so I was like, maybe come to dance class.
To another or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, come to dance class. Come to dance. And everyone's like, no, I can't. I don't know how to dance, or I'm nervous. I'm like, we all are. That's why it's a beginning class. Like, it's so much fun. You will not regret it. And we've gone now a few times. We cannot wait to go back, but it's once a week on Thursdays. So we try to get there. The teacher is incredible. I forget his name.
Angelo Vivo.
He's also a singer.
Yes.
Incredible
Amazing
guy.
dancer.
And oh my God.
Yeah.
Very inspiring. But speaking of dance, so
awesome, though.
your dance journey though has really, I mean, I don't want to say jealous, inspired. I mean, I just would love to be in your shoes, to be able to be a dancer in Vegas on a headlining show.
Yes.
Dude, it's crazy though.
Yes. Tell us about
How did
that.
this happen?
I'd never thought about living in Vegas. The whole idea of like, because I'm not a gambler, like I could care less. Like, I don't know. I've just never been drawn to it outside of like saying, oh, I want to go one day and, get fucked up with my friends and like do the Vegas thing.
Right.
But like going and performing there just wasn't a thing. And
when I was in Vegas is much more than that though. We go to Vegas, we never gamble.
Yeah.
Never. We go to Drag Race Live.
Yeah.
We go
but I didn't know. Because I
I
had never been, and you only see like what people are throwing at you, like, what you're seeing. and I've been a Drag Race, so I haven't, because I have friends, all like half of the pit crew are like friends now, you know what I mean? So I love the show. Like,
Incredible.
We can talk about Drag Race. So, but anyway,
we should just do a
I do
podcast
need to
on
know like
Drag
your
Race.
opinions on the
Yes.
final four.
Yeah,
Like,
we
let's circle
will.
back to that. But with so when I was on Ranch Hands, actually the opportunity for this show came before I got booked on Ranch Hands. I got an audition from my agent to be on the show in this part a couple years prior when the show was just starting.
Right.
Because they were just putting
When
it
was that?
together.
We went and saw
This
it.
was
we saw.
It was like way in the beginning. This was
Right.
like around COVID time.
So we went to see the
I think it
show
was
in
like the
2021.
opening
so that
month.
like opening.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like when it first started.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there were like a lot of things and complications
Yeah.
and things with it.
We heard
Yeah.
about
People were
that.
saying they were seeing it, not understanding the story, too much going
Yeah.
on. So it's been retooled like maybe 5 times since then.
Wow.
But I got the opportunity and I did the audition, but I kind of like, I think really messed up the audition because it was a lot of back and forth, and then it was like
It's hard.
monologues that you had to record and such, but
Wow.
there was no direction on what they were really looking for. So I'm trying to give like these different tones and like personalities based off of what I'm reading.
Sure.
Now being in the character, I understand now what I was doing was completely not
Wow.
that's what was needed.
You got the
but,
part.
You know, but so I didn't get it then. Then I got booked on Ranch Hands. Then as I was doing Ranch Hands, the audition came back again.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, if this is circling back, then maybe like I'm at a different place creatively, developmentally that I was not at before.
Sure.
And it really did feel that way because when I was in Nashville, it was a very much like a life altering kind of like change situation for
Sure.
me because it was kind of the first time leaving New York to live in a place without having any type of backup anymore in New York. Like anytime I would go on a short tour, go do whatever, I still had my main job as well to always go back to.
Yes.
And then those things were starting to conflict too much with the entertainment side. And then I got fired because of missing things
Sure,
and being on a
totally.
film shoot, and it was just a whole thing. So I was already planning to leave that side and just focus on entertainment, but I got thrusted into it way before I was ready, like without having proper savings and all
Right.
these things.
Sure.
So then I felt like I had to take the Nashville job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I did that. And so my mind state was different. I felt just more
Ready.
more ready,
Yeah.
more ready to take on whatever, like
Yeah.
because I was broken completely out of my comfort zone. At this point now it's like, okay, like it's time to make shit happen. Like
Sure.
you need to like go out there. You need to like really work on yourself, really perfect your body even more. The skill sets you have, the singing, all these things, like I need to be developing
Sure.
while I'm doing all this night stuff,
Yeah.
not losing focus. Then it came back around and then I submitted and that went great. Then there was another round and another round. It was like 5 different online rounds
Wow.
back and forth. And then finally got to the last stage where they wanted to fly me there to audition in person. So I got there in person. The huge, you've been in the theater,
Yeah,
the huge 1,600 sit theater,
Massive.
me performing in the middle of it to 5 people.
Wow, that is crazy.
The main director, Baz Halperin, who's
Oh my God.
Baz is like, he put together like Taylor Swift Eras tour and
Wow.
like Super Bowl performances and like even like right now he's working with Timberlake on something, like some other show he's putting together.
Wow.
So he's all over. Like
Sure.
he's the director of our show, the main director. And then the 2 resident directors, a manager, and then the hiring person that was in charge of the thing. So I had to perform like the whole monologue situation to just them,
Wow.
and then perform one of the numbers called Water, all like fully to them, running,
Wow.
singing, dancing, just to them.
Pressure.
Wow.
Pressure.
Pressure. And then after I finished, I'm looking and they're smiling. And then,
Aw.
you know, I got some claps and I was
Sure.
like, okay, it felt
I
good.
got it.
Yeah.
And then I knew I booked it, but not being cocky about it. Because after the fact, when they were telling me about the process after in paperwork, they weren't saying like, if you got it, you will receive this. It was like, you will get, and then they'll switch up and like, I mean, well, you know, if we book
Sure,
you, you know, like
sure.
that
Right.
situation was
Right.
going
Could
on.
tell.
And then I found out, got the official call like a week later.
Wow.
And I was actually on a tour with a different group called Men After Dark, which is like a combination of
Sure.
Magic Mike, Chippendale
Sure.
dancers touring across the West Coast and just
Wow.
giving a show.
Giving a show.
And I got booked, and I was like, okay, I'm going to be leaving this tour. I had to go back to Nashville. I had 3 days to pack up out of Nashville. Say goodbye to my ranch hand brothers, because we really have become brothers.
Sure.
Like, they were everything to me, and I've lived with two of them, we all became roommates in a house together. They became a
Wow.
couple. So I kind of became like the third, but then they became my mom. And it was like,
This is getting complicated. Time
right.
to go. Good time.
Because also like then I kind of hooked up with one of them beforehand. Like once we started the show, then he became a couple. Then they became my mom. It was just a whole thing.
Gay relationships are complicated.
Gay, yes.
You know, I mean, I'd say this all the time. You meet someone, and if they become your best friend, you look at them like, why aren't we dating? We have everything in common.
Exactly,
So gay
literally.
relationships can be complicated.
Yes.
But
very, very,
most
very
of the time,
multi-layered.
most of the time, we can get our stuff together and make it a good connection.
Is it most of the time we think we can?
Yeah, that's a good
Positive, right? Yeah. So I have to know, when you're on stage and all eyes are on you, especially in that performing in front of 5 people in this massive auditorium, or every night that you've in the past for a smaller group or a big group, where does your brain go? Like, are you there? Are you knowing everything going on? Or are you kind of like your super alter ego takes over? Like, what happens?
It's kind of a combination of both.
Yeah.
Because the show starts with me rising out of the ground
Wow.
and delivering this minute and a half monologue to set the entire tone.
Wow.
So as I'm being risen up, the first thing I always think about is I'm going to forget all the words.
Right.
You know what I mean? Then I have to tell myself, Antony, stop this shit. Like, stop.
Right.
Like,
You got this.
you're, like, we're about to, it's showtime.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to put up or shut up? Like, do this.
Yeah.
I always tell myself, put up or shut up. And then the light hits. And then light hits, it's good evening. And then I go right into it.
Yeah.
And I find myself in the character. So I'm able to separate a little bit, but I can never fully separate.
Sure.
Because with our show, there's also all these technical things that are happening, like with the lasers, with the lighting, with the movement of the stage. There's an earpiece in my ear. Sometimes I'm delivering this monologue that's supposed to be passionate, and I'm hearing about cues about something going wrong, or the lift that's about to bring you down is going to be delayed. So as I'm delivering, you know what I mean? So there's so many things that can take you out of it, and you still have to focus on the performance while having that other part of your brain work. And so it's kind of two-tiered.
Sure.
Like the water number, which is one of my favorite, it's the most dancey, the most performing. That part of the character is supposed to be all cocky, and so I'm giving it on the stage.
Right.
And, there's no one like me and all this stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then again, cues.
Right.
Okay, be careful because the aquarium is going to be delayed when you come out. When you step on it, this isn't working. Oh my goodness, such and such just got hurt. They're out of the show now. Like all these things are happening.
See, whenever I'm seeing the earpiece, I'm like, oh, they're just feeding them the lines. Like, I'm just assuming someone's like, so say this next. But obviously much more complicated than that.
And you're also hearing your own voice through that.
Right.
So they're interrupting while I'm supposed to be hearing myself. So it's just a lot that's going on at the same time.
Wow.
So I get lost in it, but I can never get fully lost. I have to just be aware on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Does it feel kind of surreal being a queer black man starting a show on a regular basis on the Las Vegas Strip?
1,000%.
I mean, incredible. I mean, your parents, regardless of your whatever, regardless of your peers, everyone you've touched and met throughout your dance, acting, singing career to this point must be just like,
I mean, honestly, in awe. You know what I mean? And just even, at this stage, you know what I mean? Like, I'm in my 30s now. It's not like I just booked this at, 21, 22.
Right.
So, the dancers, there's even people in the show that are older than me. So it's not like it stops at a certain point.
But sometimes it feels that way.
But sometimes it feels that way. But, I'm also dancing with 21, 22-year-olds as well in the show. There's like 70 performers in this show. So they are like, oh my God. And just because of the scale of it, like it's such a huge show.
Yeah.
And I don't know, in some way it kind of feels like something was, I don't want to say like prophecy fulfilled, but there was a point like when I was leaving dancing for other people to do my own music, stage my own shows, do my own performances. Because I'm like, if I'm putting all this creativity into making someone else look good, why can't I do that for myself? I sing, I can record.
Yep.
I want to do music. I want to be the male Janet Jackson. Why can't I do that?
Yeah.
And so then I started doing that. And, there were bad contract situations, like always getting to a certain point, then something shady or an offer for something I'm not going to do. Like, it's so crazy how the shady part of that business can come so quickly, depending on who you know, what you look like all these things.
And leave a lasting impact, I'm
exactly.
sure.
Oh, 100. Like, it changes your headspace. makes you untrusting. It, you know, it does a lot of things, especially because I was young.
Yeah.
You know, so because of those things, nothing ever popped off like I wanted to. But then I'm in the show and I'm having like, I'm being lowered like from 85
You're literally a
feet
god.
of like my Super Bowl performance or something. It's like,
Yeah.
so it's, I'm having pop star moments anyways,
Amazing.
you know, like in the hugest stage in Vegas right now. So I'm like, hey, life has a funny way of working itself out in different ways.
I mean, what a dream come true, and still so young. So what is next?
Oh, thank you.
What are you going to do now? What are your dreams, aspirations from this point? Because like you mentioned, the prophecy feels fulfilled in ways.
No, it's never fulfilled.
Exactly.
No. There's so much, like, I haven't done anything.
Yeah.
Like, not to like belittle, but
No,
there's,
I get you.
the world has so much to offer.
This is the beginning.
Yes.
There's such the beginning. Like, I've never done like a full show overseas, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never, there's certain artists I mean, shit, I would still love to dance behind Janet. She's the only person I ever would want to
Absolutely.
dance behind.
Oh my God.
I still like, I'm producing as well. You know, I'm in LA a lot because I also film produce.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and my two best friends live here as well. So we all produce together. Our company's called Awry, which is Are We Rolling It? AWRY.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
right.
Really, yeah.
That's right. I've seen those.
Yeah. So we've been producing these like vertical series, which are like being shot like all over LA right now, and it's giving actors a lot of constant work. Like these companies from Asia, Turkey, like different parts of Asia. Turkey, there's some Indian companies getting involved in, you know, they're creating streaming companies. They're shooting back to back. It's literally giving actors like regular work again.
Incredible.
And so we've had the opportunity to produce like 5 of them within the last like 6 months, which has been great. Like we're giving our friends crew opportunities, our actor friends acting opportunities, and that's been amazing. So I would love to see us and our company expand when it comes to production. Like I want to do big film production. I've done independent film.
Sure.
I want to do a big studio film. I want to do a huge independent film. Like I want us to become more of creators. I want to become more on the creator side and the boss side, and kind of slowly step away from the performing side, because I obviously can't do it forever.
Right.
My body won't allow me to do it forever. I mean, I look like this, you know, forever. It'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be good, but it's not, you know.
But you have all that experience as the performer, which most behind the scenes, you know, spaced
For sure.
professionals in the industry don't have your experience in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And so I think that will take you.
It's going to feed
way
like that
farther.
ability to actually do that job. And it has already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I understand like what it looks like on both sides. We can give the actors input, you know, we can help guide, you know, like just the beauty like of the creative part. Because for me and my two best friends, because they're both actors, it's not about just getting the shot, making the money. It's like, no, we're creators.
Right.
Like we want to create the beauty and put our footprint in it. That's fucking amazing to me. You know what I mean? Because I'm not just a part of someone else's thing. I'm creating.
You're creating it.
You know, so I want to be more on that side and let that expand, you know, to the points where I can live off of doing it, as opposed to not having to, because I'm very grateful for my show opportunity and the ability to perform. And it's an opportunity that a lot of people would want that do not have right now. So I'm fully grateful. But I just want to be able to also have this other side and have that as something when this is no longer available.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's creating goals. It's what we all
goals.
should do wherever we're at. You know, things can change. And
because as beautiful and big as this is, it's still not me.
Right.
You know, I'm putting my spin on my character in the show, but it's not my show.
Right.
I had nothing to do with creating it.
Right, you're just performing to a show.
Yeah. Like I can create and do things with the character that I'm doing, which is great, you know, to have. But even only that's within a certain
Yeah. And what's amazing is you're putting the stones in place to get where you want to go. I think most people, this is another issue that I think we can all run into, is not knowing what stones we need to get to where we're going. Just focus on what you can do in your immediate surroundings to get you to that next place. You don't have to say, I'm only going to wait till I'm a director of a big major picture. You know, this is not going to probably work out in your favor if that's your only next goal. You have to meet new people, create those miniature steps to get to the bigger steps in the future.
Absolutely.
And I think you're going to get there. And if you never need 2 extras,
oh yeah, we're here.
Listen, y'all can we can do that, and then I'll give you private dance lessons.
Let's do it, please.
I'm down.
We have many Janet songs and Britney songs.
What's your favorite Janet Jackson song?
Oh, this is so important.
Oh my gosh. I'll say this. It depends on the day.
Okay.
But very like lately, And this song always comes back around because it is one of my top 3 of hers is I Get Lonely. And it's when she has like, it's the red flowy hair.
Yes.
It was like the sexy, like the black hat, you know, the black, it was, she ripped the shirt open in the video, the big bustier, like, you know, the titties were sitting, she was beautiful, the face, the dance was very like smooth, but
all
it's
right,
like, it's just like, you know, like
I want to learn.
oh my goodness. So that always has a special place. It always comes back.
We saw her in concert 2
We
years ago.
did.
You did?
We took our moms.
We took our moms. Yeah.
Which, do you know which concert it was? Which
It was
tour?
in Savannah.
Savannah.
It was April of
April.
2020.
2 years ago, exactly
Yeah.
2 years ago. We took both of our
Or is that
moms.
State of the World, maybe.
It was fun. I never had the chance to see her before.
Yeah.
You never, and it was amazing to see her dancing.
She was killing it.
Killing
She
it.
is, I mean, and the woman is 57 years old.
Yeah.
See, there's hope for us all.
Like,
Yeah.
And I'm watching. She was just in Vegas doing a short
Wow.
residency, so I just saw her New Year's actually for a New Year's
Wow.
show, and I'm just looking at her on stage, and
An
I'm
inspiration.
For sure.
like, yes, like I'm like, wow, like she just dancing harder than like,
Yes.
you know, these
Yeah.
girls that are out here
Yes.
performing.
Don't get me started.
I'm like, no, y'all aren't performing. Look at this girl. Even somebody like Tate McRae. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I'm loving Tate McRae like a
Loving
little
her.
bit more, like more and more.
Yes.
Because now, like, getting her out of the whole Britney comparison mind
Yes.
frame,
Oh, right, yeah.
just looking at her
Yeah.
as her,
Yep.
she's very like creative,
Absolutely.
and she writes, and you know, I'm loving her,
A great performer.
Yeah.
Great singer.
and
Beautiful.
fully performs.
fully performs.
A lot of the girls are just not performing.
You just don't have
Most
to
of the
anymore.
girls.
Most of the girls
You apparently
are
don't
not
have
performing.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. But it's like the new generation will see
yeah,
like
it's
these
different.
horrible performances, and they're
Yeah.
like, "This is the greatest
Yeah.
thing," and I'm like,
You know, we've become old because we're
we
saying
grew up
the
in
new
the 90s.
generation.
Yeah.
We're
back in the
complaining.
day,
Right.
on the award shows,
You had to
people
carry a
performed.
snake. You had to rip your clothes off.
Right.
But
Oh,
Yeah.
what a good time.
it's a different, you know, we got to grow up with that though.
Yeah.
Oh,
so I
yeah, we
wouldn't
got
change
to
that
see.
for the world. But to tie it all up, we have one last thing. Who's gonna win season? Is it
Oh, we're gonna
16?
drag race
17.
17.
17. It's all happening so fast. Who is gonna win season 17? of
Anya
Drag
nervous.
Race?
On a nerve,
Anya
for
nervous,
sure,
yeah.
hands down.
Okay, that's where we all are.
That's
It's funny
where we're
because every year after episode 5, we make a note on our phone with our top 5, and we get the winner right every single time.
every time.
And
Wait,
we
since
picked
when?
episode 5,
See,
even before Snatch Game.
We've been doing this since season 13 or 14.
13.
Yeah, we started
And
season
always
13.
get it right?
We
We
picked
always get it right.
Simone, we picked Willow Pill, we picked Nymphia Wynn. We actually picked
Okay.
Nymphia Wynn after the first episode. We
Yeah,
call
we're
her.
like,
yeah.
oh, yeah,
But that's
she-
the winner.
See, I did not. Nymphia was a little late for me.
You can always tell too, like
The
their
editing.
their week
Yeah.
of promo that they do where they go to New York.
Yeah.
Look at their outfits and see
Yeah.
who's also like the most confident, and you're like, okay, these are at least the top 3. And we usually do that, and then usually by like episode 5 or Snatch Game, we're like, all right, we got it. But it's fun, it's a fun activity. We're gonna link you in. We're gonna
Yeah.
start messaging you on episode 5
No,
every
please do,
season. We're gonna be like, all right, where you at?
Because 5 is kind of, I guess, like
You
when
kinda
get a
get
sense
it.
of
Yeah,
people,
exactly,
where people are.
exactly.
Yeah, but Anya, like I did see at the top from the beginning.
Yeah.
I will say I did not see Sam making
Sure.
it
Yeah.
to the top 4.
Yeah.
I felt like it would probably be her or Jules. I didn't see them both
Same.
being
Yeah,
in there.
We
they're
thought
so
it was going to
similar.
be
Yeah.
either.
But
I
if
love
it was
all
out
of
of the
them,
2, I would have picked Jules. So I didn't expect to see
yeah.
them
Being
both.
from the South, I was a big fan of Sam. So I also love Trinity the Tuck, but I love them all.
do
Like
love
honestly,
Trinity,
I any drag queen who puts themselves out there
Yeah.
at that level
Absolutely, yeah.
is a hero to me.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
It's
Performing.
inspiring on all accounts. So
So
let's-
can I ask one more drag race
Yes, of
question?
course,
With this
please.
is wrapping. So what were your thoughts on Susie?
So I'm a big fan of that type of drag. I like theater. I think that my initial sort of interest into drag was probably theater based
Yeah.
because I was more interested in that type of performance.
Yeah.
I didn't think she was gonna win from the beginning only because
Yeah.
they were hyping her up to win, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
never
yeah.
win when you do that.
You're right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So I already knew. I was like, I don't think she's gonna win,
not.
but I knew she'd make it far because she's very talented.
I thought she would make it into the final.
I was
four.
surprised
I did
too that
too.
she doesn't make, but I guess she's going to come back for All Stars.
I'm sure.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
There's more footage to be filmed of her for
Of
sure.
her
Oh, yeah.
Susie
Oh,
too.
100%.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's more footage to be filmed of you. We would love to have you back sometime.
Yes.
You
This has been
better.
so much fun.
Well,
Yeah.
again, it's up to you.
Hey, you're gonna see.
You got.
we got to book this room, so
No,
we're gonna.
yes. No, I would absolutely come back. This was fun.
We honestly, it's been like confusing because we were gonna shoot the podcast initially where we lived because that's what we had done in Florida,
Yeah.
and it's just a different environment when you can kind of walk in, have it all set up for you, and walk out. And so hopefully this will be a long-lasting relationship with this studio, and we would love again to have you. And we're gonna hang out after this. So
I would love that. Absolutely, yes.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for
Thanks for
coming.
having me.
See y'all next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.